2.7 piecewise functions. These are your notes for today. So we're going to be working with piecewise functions today. This is going to be a little bit hard. It's tough to understand when we're doing it when you're in the class, but we'll give it a shot here. First part's going to be easy. Example 1. All we're doing is evaluating piecewise function. So this is the piecewise function we're going to evaluate. First, we're going to evaluate it for a when x is 0. All right, so I'm going to use some colors today just so you can see. Well, you know what? I'm going to save the colors for the graphs because that's going to help you there. But a, we have x equals 0. So again, the first thing you're doing when you're evaluating is you got to go over to the right hand side, and first you put in the 0 here. Is 0 less than 2? And it is. So that means we're going to use this function. All right. So for f of 0, we use the first function, which would be 0 plus 2, which would give us 2. All right. And then b, we have x equals 2. All right. So again, we put it in here. Is 2 less than 2? No. Is 2 greater than or equal to 2? Yes. That means we're going to use the second function to evaluate this. So f of 2 is 2 times 2 plus 1, and we get 5. All right? And then the last one, c, we got x equals 4. So again, is 4 less than 2? No. Is 4 greater than or equal to 2? Yes. So we're going to use that one. So f of 4 is equal to 2 times 4 plus 1, and we get 9. All right. So that's just evaluating piecewise function. Remember, when it's piecewise function, you got to look here first to figure out which one you're going to use. All right. So example 2. This is where it gets a little hard. All right. So we're going to graph this piecewise function. All right, so the first one is this, our y equals 1/2 x plus 3/2. All right, so I'm going to use colors for this. So this first one, I'm going to make that my blue function. All right, so this is going to be the blue function. All right, so again, what we're going to do is we're going to start off by graphing it. All right, so we start at positive 3/2, which is 1 1/2. So halfway between 1 and 2. And then we're going to go up 1 over 2. So up 1, remember we're halfway between, over 2. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Now, what you're doing is you're putting dots in here to represent this. Don't draw this line. All right, don't draw that line. Now what you want to do is this. Now, we only want this when x is less than 1. When x is less than 1. So we go over where the 1 is, all right, to where the graph would go through the 1. Since it's less than, we're going to put an open circle. All right, an open circle means we're not going to include that point. So again, where the 1 is, where the graph would be for that. And now if you look, the arrow points to the side you're going to draw. So we're going to draw this side. All right, so we draw that side of the line, and then we can erase the dots for the other side of the line because we're not using them. We're only using that side. All right, and that's the first one. So then we go to the second one. The second one we have is y equals negative x plus 3. All right, and that's going to be my red function. All right, so for this one, again, what we're going to do is we're going to start at positive 3. And then we're going to go down 1 over 1. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And again, we keep doing that. We get our points in there. All right. So now this time it says x is greater than or equal to 1. So again, we'll go over to where 1. We'll go up to where the graph would go through. Again, the graph would be where the dotted lines are. All right. This time we're putting a closed circle because it says or equal to. So we put a closed circle over top of that open circle, which means it closes it. And this time the arrow, all right, the greater than sign, if you look, if you make that into an arrow, this is what I'm talking about. If we make it into an arrow like that, it's pointing in this direction. So that means we go from that and we go to the right. So if I draw this line out to the right, it would look like that. All right, and that's how you graph a piecewise function. All right. Next, we have what's called, it's another piecewise function, but this one is called a step function. All right, and the reason it's called a step function is it looks like a set of steps when you get done with it. All right. So here we go. This one, we got f of x equals 1. So I got colors for this. All right, so this will be my blue function. All right, so f of x equals 1. Well, f of x equals 1 would be this line if I wanted the whole thing. F of x equals 1 would be that line that goes right through 1, goes the whole way across. All right, would look like that. All right, but I don't want that whole thing. All right, I only want the piece that goes from 0 to 1. All right, now 0, I'm going to have a closed circle, so I go up to where the graph would be for 0, which would be right here. Put a closed circle, and then I go over to where the graph would be for the 1. I put an open circle, and then all I do is I connect those two dots. All right, just connect those two dots, and that's it. All right, so we'll go to our next one. This one will be my red one. So we do the same thing. Now this time it says f of x equals 2. So again, 2 would be this line right here. All right, but again, we don't want the whole thing. We only want the one that goes from 1 to 2. Again, 1 less than or equal to, so that means a closed circle. And then to the 2, and it's strictly less than, so that'd be an open circle. And then we just connect those 2 points. All right, so it looks like that. All right, then we go to our next one. The next one, we'll make that the brown one. All right. So that's our brown function. So we got f of x equals 3, which is the same again as y equals 3. And the y equals 3 function, that would be the function that would go through the y-axis at 3. All right, so it's going to be that function there. But again, we don't want the whole thing. We only want the part that goes from 2 to 3. And again, closed circle at the 2, open circle at the 3, and then we connect them. So it looks like that. All right, and then our last one will be our orange one. All right, now this one is at 4, so it would be at 4. All right, and we want to go from 3 closed circle to 4 open circle. So closed circle to open circle, and we connect. All right, so that's what that one would look like. Again, and that's a piecewise function. So you see, it almost looks like, when you look at it, it almost looks like a set of stairs going like that, except these aren't connected. You don't have these connections right here. All right, you just have the stairs looking like that. All right, and that's usually what your graphing a step function looks like. All right, so you got this you try to do, and I'll send you the answers to that. All right, so I'll give you some time to do it. All right, this one is writing and using step function. Again, this is our step function. This is the sign that they have. So the first thing we have to do is change this into a step function. So it would look like this. F of x equals. All right. So it's a cost. So it's $3 for half hour. So it's going to be $3 if you're parked from 0 to a half of an hour, or we could put it in 30 minutes. All right. But I'm going to use hours. All right. So it's going to cost $3 if you're parked anywhere. Oops, I forgot my X in here. All right. So X and all right. So it says 0 is less than X is less than a half, and here we can do less than or equal to, because if you're there for the 30 minutes, they're still going to only charge you the $3. Okay? Then, after you go half of an hour, after we go from there, so 1/2 to the next half hour, which would be 1 hour, all right, they're going to charge you another $3, so it's going to be $6. All right? And then after that, from 1 after that, all right, they're going to charge you $8 because you would be at the maximum then. All right, so this is what our function's going to look like. All right, so just graphing that real quick. Again, I'll use the colors. So I'm just going to use the whole graph. So I'm going to move my X, Y axes over to here. And I'm going to go by 1/2. All right, so when I do this, it's going to be skip a space. That's going to be 1 because this will be a half. Skip a space, 2. Skip a space, 3. Skip a space, 4. Skip a space, 5. So it's going by halves just because I got to graph these halves in there. So now when I do this, I go up to, these are going by ones. 1, 2, 3. All right. These are going by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, because this is your time. All right. For this is the cost. All right, so we'd be at 3, and that is from 0, so open circle, to a half. That's my first line, closed circle, and then I just connect it. All right, so that one's going to look like this. 0 to a half. All right. And then the next one is 6, which would be here, and that goes from a half, so a open circle, and then over to 1, closed circle. All right, so it's going to look like that. And then our last one is 8. So 6, 7, 8, and that goes from 1, be an open circle, all the way out for however long you park. Now, it says a maximum of 12 hours, so we could go out here to 12. All right, we could go out here to 12, and we could stop it. All right, it's a maximum of 12 hours. That would be what that one looks like. All right. And then I'm not going to do that last one because I already did the word problem one like that. So we'll skip that last one. So you have this classwork worksheet to do. All right. And if I didn't give it to you, I will. So I want you to do this classwork worksheet. I'll probably put it in the homework tab. All right. And then you have this one to do. All right. So those 2 worksheets, that's your homework for today. And that's it.